1 second. Let's wait for this to get started. Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my friend Sue, aka Sambora Sue, that's on Twitter. She's from England, UK, is that correct?
Yeah, North East England.
Ah, I was close. How are you?
I'm really feeling quite smug, but there you go.
Yeah. What time is it? It's what, 9 o'clock there now?
10 to 9.
10 to 9. Okay. So it's almost 4 o'clock here, so you're a little ahead of us. But so before we get started our fun topic today, I always like to ask my guests on this show here, how did you become a Bon Jovi fan?
I was on holiday in a castle when I was 13, and one of the junior leaders on the holiday asked me what music I was into, and I'm not going to say who. I came out with some boy band names, and he was quite embarrassed.
Okay.
No, this one was bad. So that's my daughter laughing. So he gave me 2 tapes to listen to. One was the Poison album with Unskinny Bop on, and the other one was New Jersey. Handed them to me, and he said, I think you will enjoy these. And by the end of the week, I'd used my spending money to buy the New Jersey album.
Wow. So you became a fan during the New Jersey era or the album?
Yeah, during the New Jersey era. But when I got home, I found out I already had Slippery When Wet in my collection anyway.
Hey, that's a double. What's your absolute favorite song by the band?
If I Was Your Mother.
Not many people say that one.
Briefly, that one.
Yeah, If I Was Your Mother, that's a great song on Keep the Faith, but I am surprised that it made the album just because of what it was about and how heavy it was. That was probably the heaviest Bon Jovi song at that time.
That's why I love it.
Too. And I'm just surprised that it made, if I liked the song, but I would have replaced it with Radio Saved My Life Tonight or Starting All Over Again, but that's just me. But still, it's a great song. But, all right, well, let's get into our fun topic today.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk about Richie Sambora that was just revealed on The Masked Singer. We both just finished watching it, and you and I from day one knew it was Richie. And so
Viva Las Vegas.
What was it? It was like 5 weeks now since Masked Singer premiered in the UK. Okay.
Yeah.
So for people that haven't been following up with Richie Sambora and The Masked Singer, there was a UK version of The Masked Singer that started about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and Richie Sambora was Jacket Potato, and every Saturday they would perform, and there was one Saturday that he didn't perform, but like I said, since day one, we both knew that it was Richie, and so let's get into the clues first. We'll talk about the clues and stuff that kind of pinpointed to why we thought it was Richie, and then we'll talk about the performances, and then we'll talk about the reveal. So I'm not going to do all the clues in order. I kind of just jot down what I remembered, and 95% of all the clues that they had showed on this show pointed to Richie. It got to the point where most of it was obvious. So let's see here. Let's talk about the name Jacket Potato, for example, and the outfit. Now, I can't fully pinpoint on where he came up with that name. Can you?
I've heard rumors that his godson's called Jack. I don't know if that's true or not, but we do have a brand of potato over here called the Jersey Royal.
Okay.
So we figured it could be something to do with that.
Yeah, and he's always talked about how much he's loved the UK, and in recent years too, he's been going over there a lot to perform and do this and do that. So, he does have a lot of UK love. So the first appearance, he had stars as graphic effects, and if you look at Richie's hand, he also has a star tattoo on his hand.
Yeah.
So that was like the first thing that threw, hey, that could potentially be Richie. And he's always been a fan of stars. And if you look at his earlier guitars, his Fender guitars, they had stars on the frets back in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, we picked all that up.
Picked that up too. And I forget. I think it was the second week. Remember the riddle that he did, and it had that woe in it. I should have looked into that a little more before we started this. But there was in the second week, I think he did a riddle, and it transformed into like woe or something like that.
Living on a prayer.
Living on prayer, exactly. And then another notable hint was the big collection. So we all know that Richie has an insane amount of guitars.
Yeah, totally.
And you could also look at the band's catalog, Bon Jovi's catalog. That's a collection, and his hats. And it could also mean collection of hits, too. So, there's different scenarios as far as collection goes. Like I said, guitars, hats, albums, hits, and so forth. Even some fans were also guessing his clothing line, which really his clothing line wasn't really that much of a success with Nicky Lund back in 2011. So I don't know if he was really pinpointing at that, but it could have very well been too.
We didn't pick up on that, but we picked up on the collection, his guitars and everything.
Yeah. And then the next one, this one was a big one that a lot of Bon Jovi fans had kind of guessed, the Romeo and Juliet thing on the book. So, like songs in I Die For You, Romeo and Juliet, and then in Always, this Romeo is bleeding. So that was a reference to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Richie has always been known to be a romantic. So I think that kind of tied in with the whole Romeo and Juliet thing too, because Richie is a big romantic person, and then the Heart and Dagger as well in that book. I mean, I can't tell you what the logos of other bands are, but with Bon Jovi, I know that it's the Heart and Dagger. So actually, that was like one clue that the judges aren't likely to guess. I can speak on my behalf. I know that I don't know. Like I said, I don't know many band logos other than Bon Jovi's. So I think that one you'd be like a hard
Totally.
to know that. What's that?
Totally, but we all knew because even the colours were right for the logo on the book.
That's true. Yeah, but I think it was in gold. Originally it was red and all, but in 2000,
it's been released in that version though.
Yep, exactly. And then the Wild Hogs thing that he had on his outfit.
That's off the movie.
That was off the movie because they put Lost Highway on the soundtrack, and they also put Wanted Dead or Alive on that as well. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of happy to see that, like a reference to that, because when that was announced back in 2007 that Lost Highway and Wanted was going to be on the movie, it didn't seem like it was that big of a deal as far as the news outlet. But I thought I loved that movie, so it was kind of awesome to kind of see 15 years later Richie kind of referencing that again. The jar, when he was doing different names in the jar,
the bad names,
and it took me a minute to like, what does that mean? And I remember I tweeted it, and somebody said, "Oh, that's a jar of bad names." I was like, "Oh, damn it, that's right. You could love a bad name of jars." And I thought that was clever. And he also said 80,000 people in one place. I don't know. Was it you or someone else?
I Googled how many people.
Okay, so that was
Giant Stadium. Yeah.
That was another thing. I was like, okay, we know that he's playing in front of that many people, but which place is he referenced? And then you told me Giant Stadium. I was like, that's right, Giant Stadium, New Jersey. It's obvious.
Yes.
And then the polished can that they did a couple weeks ago. Richie Sambora is Polish.
Yeah. We picked that up too.
Last week, they did a reversed audio clue, which transformed to Find Me in the Hall of Fame.
I was waiting for somebody to release that. I knew somebody would turn it around.
Yeah, and he's in several Hall of Fames, notably the Songwriters Hall of Fame and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then he also said one week in a quote, "What I do is like a marathon," which is touring. Or releasing albums. Bon Jovi has always been known to put an album out, tour, put an album out. It's consistent. So in a way, that the last 30 years for him was a marathon. The Devils and Angels hint, that kind of took me to his solo song "If God Was a Woman."
Yeah, found that one.
The Stethoscope. that can go towards bad medicine, and also he has an honorary doctorate. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if he was aiming at both of those or one of those. But I still thought it was cool that that was there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. There were so many.
yeah.
So many clues pointed to him.
And then the next one is the disco ball. Um, Not many people know this, but he was uncredited with the guitar in Saturday Night Fever in the early days.
I had to Google that the other day and found it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I only found out about that the other day.
So I wonder if that was a hint towards that, or if that could have very well been another hint for something else, though. But me, I was just thinking disco ball, and he's mentioned several times how he did guitar on that movie, but never was credited for it. So I would kind of wonder there. And then a couple weeks ago, he went to like one of those slip and slides to turn on the water, and it wouldn't come out. So two things. It could have meant slippery when wet, but because the water didn't come out, was he hinting at dry county?
Dry County.
You know, I think it's kind of clever how he kind of gives you a hint, and you can think, does he mean it this way, or does he mean it that way? You know, so
Totally.
yeah. He has expressed a host of emotions, playing guitar, singing, songwriting. I think were his way of showing his emotions. Especially when he plays guitar, you just see it in his face, the way that he plays. Telling tales. I thought that meant writing songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Steel Horse was referenced, I think, a couple weeks ago. That's obviously a reference to Wanted. And I remember kind of talking about this last week with some other Bon Jovi friends. But a lot of people were thinking automatically assuming that he meant riding a motorcycle. But actually, Steel Horse was referring to the tour bus that they had rode from 83 to 86. And then when they did the number scale, 0 to 100, he put the mark at 50.
Halfway there.
Halfway there. Living on a prayer.
Yeah, totally.
And the last one that I have is today was the 7800 clue. So in today's episode, it was a 1432 or something like that. He had in a temperature thing. If you transfer that to Fahrenheit, 7800 Fahrenheit, which is Bon Jovi's second album. And Richie absolutely loves that album. I think Richie shines on that album too. So there's just so many clues that just never doubted that I thought it was Richie. All those clues. Was there any clues that I forgot? Because there's still a few more that I know that I'm forgetting, but off the top of my head, that's what I could. Was there something?
Just glancing.
What was your favorite clue out of all of those, though?
I think probably bad name, because the bad names, it was so obvious.
I'd probably have to say 7800, because that right there confirms that it's Richie. I don't know. For me, that just like who else would have a temperature in a clue saying 7800?
Yeah.
And
it got frustrating, like seeing some of the suggestions people were putting out.
Oh my gosh, I know. Some people were saying Billy Idol and Shane Ritchie. I didn't know who Shane Ritchie was. No disrespect, but I didn't know who he was until this past singer. I looked him up. I was like, no, that's not. There's no. I knew it was Richie as soon as I heard, because I had a friend send me the video and go, oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe. Guess who this is? And I was like, oh my, this isn't John. Like John would never do something like this. And as soon as I heard the vocals, that's Richie. Hands down, that's Richie.
Yeah. And it was the high points of Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah. And it's for anybody that knows me, knows that I have a huge Bon Jovi collection that I've collected for 22, 23 years now. I was betting that entire collection.
It was always safe.
And there are some people on Twitter just waiting for me to say, okay, here's my collection. But so let's talk about the songs. Let's start off with the very first one, Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Like I told you, when my friend sent me that video, I started to watch it. I was blown away by Richie. His vocals, this entire season, his vocals just blew me away. But Viva Las Vegas is probably one of my favorite ones that he did. The way that he screamed high notes and the way that he said Viva, and he would hold the notes and Viva, Las Vegas, and you could just tell that was Richie's voice.
I knew as soon as I heard it.
Yeah.
After that, for us, it was matching the clues up because we already knew it was Richie. But as soon
Yep.
as I heard Viva Las Vegas, I was like, that's Richie. I bet my daughter a 3 months rent
She
if I was
lost.
wrong. Well, she knew she was going to lose.
She lost. And he kind of had that, in a way, that bluesy voice too in it. I thought, especially like the way he was singing the verses was kind of bluesy, and so that was also like a small hint. Hey, that's Richie, because Richie's known to be very bluesy in
Yeah.
his guitar playing and voice and all that. What was the second one? Was it Hallelujah? I think
Yes.
it was Hallelujah. So I was blown away with Hallelujah. We all know as Bon Jovi fans that John has covered Hallelujah since the Lost Highway tour and has done a phenomenal job. I always enjoy seeing John sing it. I will admit, I love Richie's version a lot more. I love both. Don't get me wrong here, but the way that Richie sang it, it just had more soul, and just the way that he sang it was just amazing. And another hint when he did Hallelujah, if you recall, so this was filmed back in the fall, but Richie also sang Hallelujah back in December when he was in London at the
St. Luke's
church gig.
Church.
And
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever covered that before. So that was so it's like, okay, he performed it here. It's potentially he performed it 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Another thing too, I'm trying to read my own handwriting here. And his high notes screamed Richie, especially when he would sing the words Hallelujah. The way he would hold his notes at the end of Hallelujah, you could tell that was Richie's voice there. And then, and when he's saying he tied you up to a kitchen chair and he cut your hair, the way that he sang chair and hair just had that Richie voice. And I wish I could describe that Richie, but it's so distinct that Bon Jovi fans know that voice. And so when he's saying those two lines, kitchen chair and cut your hair, that's obviously Richie right there.
I think that's what's been so frustrating though, because Bon Jovi fans know Richie's voice.
Exactly.
The general public don't.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about Hallelujah?
Just that I played the YouTube recording and then I watched it again of The Masked Singer, and again it just reinforced no doubts.
Yeah, and there was
no doubts.
And what's funny, and I'm not making fun of anybody, because you know what? There was potential that I could have been wrong too. So I'm not going to rub it in people's faces. I was right, you were wrong kind of thing. I'm not. But there were people who were commenting under the Hallelujah post that I put out saying, I just listened to the December recording. It's totally different, two separate people.
No, it's not.
You are not listening very carefully, my friend. Like I said, I'm not making fun of anybody for
No.
Hey, but like you, I put 2 and 2 together. That's 100% Richie.
Yeah.
So, what was the third one? Was it Brass in a? He did 2 in one day. I think it was Brass in a Pocket, right?
Yeah, that was one.
We'll talk Brass in a Pocket. That was a really fun one to see him play as well. And we all know that Richie is all fun, which kind of takes me back to this whole thing of the Masked Singer. Richie's always been the known one to be a jokester and having fun, exploring new things. So it was kind of cool to see him do this and seeing songs like this. So, and if you look at his mannerisms in the Brass in a Pocket performance, the way that he raises his hands or moves his hands as well, Richie mannerisms. Only like hardcore fans like you and me will recognize those mannerisms. Other
I
people think he's
started seeing it, yeah. Yeah, as soon as I realised it was Richie, I was watching the way he stood, the way he performed, and it just cemented it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when he's saying imagination, whoa, I thought that like the way he sang that line, it was like that's 100% Richie. You know,
Yeah.
I will admit in the verses mostly, I was kind of like, no, I wasn't doubting myself, but I was like, oh, Richie sounds a little different here. But then when he, like I said, those imagination, whoa, line, I knew that was Richie.
I think they do try maybe hide the voices as well, like so you don't.
That's a good thought too. Maybe he did,
Yeah.
just to kind of just because the thing is that this was all recorded in the fall, so it wasn't like it's live week to week where fans can guess and throw things in. So maybe he was trying to just hide it from the judges. Anything else you want to say about Brass in a Pocket?
Nope, you've covered it.
We covered it. Okay. How about we get into Smooth? I
Oh,
thought he's said in many interviews before how much he loves that song and how much he's loved Santana. So that was another hint for me that it was Richie. But the way that he did the end of the chorus of Smooth, I love that. And another hint too, if you really dig deep, Richie is the joke around Richie is that he's always so smooth, like with the ladies or with the guitar
yeah.
and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of a hint too.
There's also the fact though that Rob Thomas is the vocalist on Smooth, lead singer of Matchbox 20, and they toured with Jovi over here.
Yeah, on the Bounce tour, right?
So,
Or
yeah.
was it Crush tour? Yeah, okay. Um, and then the verses were also very bluesy, which points to Richie. The way that he
He's totally bluesy.
yeah. And then the way that he would sing "Yeah" before the final chorus, that screamed Richie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing did.
Anything you want to say about Smooth?
I love Rob Thomas's version. I love Richie, but Smooth
Yeah.
for me is always Rob Thomas. But
Ah!
no, I could tell all the way through it was Richie.
Well, you're gonna hate me here. I have always hated that song. I don't like Santana. I know everyone listening is like, what? I know I'm crazy. I could never get into that song, nor could I get into Rob Thomas's voice. However, I will say Santana
Wow.
and Rob Thomas, they're very talented people. I just never got into it. But now I love the song because of the way that Richie sang it. And now I like the Santana version and it's amazing how a song can grow on you once you hear it a certain way.
Late to the party, but you got there.
So I hope I didn't break your heart too much. I
I
heard
love
you
that
say how
song.
much you love the song, and I was like, oh, I'm about to break her heart.
We can't all agree on everything, but you're wrong.
Exactly. And then last week he did go a cover of Fleetwood Mac's "Go Your Own Way."
Well, if that one wasn't perfectly obvious, I don't know what was.
Yeah, that was an amazing performance because he also played guitar, and I think
Yeah.
he played guitar before that song too. But he played guitar on that, and there's a part of me, I don't doubt that he was playing live there, but with gloves and stuff, I imagine.
They cut the fingertips off. They
Oh,
cut
they
the
did?
fingertips.
Okay.
If you look at my Jovi's Twitter, she's got a enlarged version of it on the screen. They've cut the fingertips off the gloves and painted his fingertips yellow. You can actually see his fingers playing the guitar.
Okay, I didn't see that because I was wondering if there's no way you could do that with because I play guitar myself, and if I put on a pair of gloves, the latex would just hit it would just mute other strings and stuff, and so that makes more sense because otherwise I was going to say that had to have been pre-recorded. Definitely
No,
Richie because I could definitely sense a lot of Richie on that guitar solo, and the way that he did the slides. Obviously, he's doing "Go Your Own Way," but there's also a Richie sense to it where that slide sounded like Bad Name. It sounded like the last 2 seconds of the "We Weren't Born to Follow" guitar solo, and the way that his mannerisms are when he played the guitar too. Me as a guitar player, I watch it the way that he transitions, the way he holds notes and stuff. I knew that was Richie right there. You just had
Yeah.
that. He has that. You have a distinct Richie sound as far as
It
guitar.
sounded like him. I sat and closed my eyes listening to that
Yeah,
one, and I could imagine it being played at a Bon Jovi concert with Richie there.
yeah, and the way that he held the guitar too, or the hand above the, he's always done that. Especially when he does like TV performances, he always puts his hand above his head when he's done performing and stuff. Um, and then with Go Your Own Way too, I was kind of wondering too, was it a reference of when he quit Bon Jovi? Because back in 2013,
That's what we figured.
he went his own way and did what he wanted to do, rightfully so. We won't get into that whole topic, but that could have been a reference too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's totally what we thought about it.
yeah. I also want to give credit to the backup singers on that too, because they did amazing. The way that they kind of harmonized with Richie, and then Richie would just kind of take lead and just have that powerful Richie voice. I thought was unique, and the way that he would sing "Way," you know, I absolutely that's like one of my favorite Richie vocal isms, if that makes sense. When he
Yeah.
sings like that, the way that he sang "Way," I just love how he holds that note, and that's probably like my favorite note that Richie ever sings, and I just love it. Um, and then anything you want to say about "Go Your Own Way"?
Again, you've covered it. For us, like I said, we knew from week one it was him. Then we would just started fitting the clues to him.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last performance was today, "Love Me Again," which I never heard that song till today. I don't know who originally plays that.
You Google who
That's
me
okay.
today.
Um, but yeah, so I really enjoyed the verses on that. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, that one was kind of took me by surprise. I was kind of hoping for another guitar playing today or something like that, but that would probably definitely have given it away then. Um, so anything you want to say about "Love Me Again"?
It was by Zayn, is it? Not to love me again, not today. No, I recognise the song. I didn't know what the name of it was, but he's done a really good job of it.
Yeah.
Really good job.
So before we get into
John
the
Newman. It's
okay.
by John Newman.
Okay, I never heard of him either. I'll have to look him up. But before we get into the reveal, I want to talk about how there's another character on the show, Jellyfish. She
Yes,
covered "You Give Love a Bad Name" today.
that was
No,
so funny.
I don't know if so. Obviously, the way the Masked Singer works, not nobody knows that it's so and so. But I wonder if the contestants know who's who.
No, at the end of the program, she was revealed,
Oh, she was.
and yeah, she was revealed at the end of it, and they commented about the song choice, and they told her that Richie Sambora was actually on the program, and to say that she looked a little bit shocked and embarrassed that she'd sang it where he could hear her
Yeah, I
was
just
just a little bit of an understatement.
who was the jellyfish?
What was the jellyfish's name? The one that jellyfish.
Amber Riley.
Amber Riley, the one that won in America.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So how ironic that they both get revealed, Jay. She did a cover of "Bad Name," and Richie, who co-wrote that song, is backstage listening to,
Yeah.
that's
They
amazing.
told her
Especially
that
she
he'd
didn't know
listened
that
to
was
her
Richie.
rehearse.
Yeah. So, well, let's get into the reveal because today was the semifinals and next week was the final episode, right?
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd make it to the finals, but at the same time, too, I was like, reveal him, because every Saturday I'd just be waiting to see updates and stuff and just excited. And I had a feeling he was going to be revealed today.
I never watch programs like this. Never. We don't even normally watch like what you call mainstream TV.
Yeah.
And last week when he didn't get revealed, I was so frustrated. I had to watch it for another week. But then this week, because it was like the semi-final, I was hoping he'd get to the final.
Yeah.
But semi-final's still good.
Yeah.
Semi-final's still good.
and it was the reveal. And then so obviously he's revealed, and they're all screaming. So I always thought that they would guess who it is, and if they didn't get it right, then you stayed off for another week. But I guess that doesn't make sense because there could be a day where nobody guesses anybody, and they're all so then you're not eliminated. But so I guess why they do the take it off thing, and then the first angle you see of him after he takes off the potato head or whatever that is, you see the hair. We know that's Richie. That's Richie's hair there, and then they show him, and he just has this giant smile on his face, and it's Richie Sambora. And what I really love too is that he grabs a hat to put on.
My daughter complained I had no reaction. I was sat watching it. I got up close to the screen,
Yeah,
and she was like, "I can't believe you've got no reaction." And I'm like, "But I know it's Richie."
yeah, exactly.
And I knew. I was just
Yeah.
waiting to prove it to everybody else.
Yep. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, my Bon Jovi collection is safe. Because I joked every week about how, and I was serious, I was going to give my collection away if I was wrong. But I knew I wasn't wrong. It's how confident I was. But I was like, my collection is safe. And I posted, hey, it's Richie. And but you know what? This was so much fun for you, me, and so many other Bon Jovi Richie fans to see Richie having this much fun and doing something different, And it gave us all something to talk about in the last few weeks and just something for us to kind of smile about because, I don't know about you, but January and February for me are kind of in a way depressing because it's so cold out, it's gray skies, everything's, you're just waiting for summer to come. And so this kind of lightened up my mood a little bit every weekend and kind of brought some smiles to my face. As cheesy as that does sound.
It got a lot of Bon Jovi fans from back in the day when I used to do all the tours, got us all talking again.
Yeah.
There's my friend who put the big thread out with all the clues on. It was a collection of all of us on one Facebook thread saying, I think it's this, I think it's that, I think it's this. So I think the last count there was about 42 clues which matched up to Richie.
Yeah. And I mean, how many clues did we go over? I mean, if there's maybe only one or two clues, okay, maybe I would have my doubts, but I mean, I have a whole page full of clues that just it's Richie. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's why it got so frustrating.
Yeah. Next Saturday I'm going to be so sad because there's no Masked Singer. Obviously there is, but no Richie on it.
I'm going to watch it to see if Charlie wins.
Yeah, I would love if Richie would release these songs, even if it's digital. I'd love to get a version of his Hallelujah or Viva Las Vegas. And,
I've seen a few people say that.
Amazing. I really want him to release those. So, but well, did you have anything else you wanted to say about Richie and the Masked Singer?
Well done, Richie.
Yeah, well done, Richie. Thank you so much for taking the time I know it's late your way. I thank you for taking the time to come on and talk about this, especially right after the reveal. I was just so excited and I just wanted to get this in and because I'm just happy about it. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay.
And nice to meet you.
No, nice to, even though we've been talking on Twitter, it's nice to meet you through FaceTime and hopefully one day we'll get to meet in person, whether it's at a Richie show or at a Bon Jovi show or both.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. All right.
Crossed.
All right. I'm gonna end the recording here. Just stay on, okay?
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you.